the graduate school. But you know, the head of the institute, who was a Harvard graduate, his PhD, Dr. Kuyugan, a well-known sociologist, did not accept that, but he allowed me to go back home. Then that's why, then I went there, and then after organizing the youth in Holo, I said, now I will move on to the mainland, go to Marawi, teach at the university there, so I can have access to the young people. But while I was talking with the president of the university, there came this communication from Dr. Kuyugan telling me, you must return back to your post. We have not accepted your resignation. So I was in a quandary what to do. I said, okay, I will return back. So I went back, and that coincided with the explosion in Miranda, Plaza Miranda, you know, where Salonga, you know, got some bruises or some, I don't know, was wounded like that. It was a campaign time, election campaign time. So I just arrived, and I was sitting like that in front of the television at my old, what do you call this, residence, boarding house. I said, what is that? You see? And that was the the notorious Plaza Miranda incident, imputed to the dirty works of Malacanang. That was the first clue to the, you know, to the onset of dictatorship in the country. But at any rate, I went, started resuming my teaching post and like that, and before I knew it, I already landed in the blacklist. They suspected me for you know, preparing for what kind, you know, for some activities in Mindanao. But I just kept my calm, you know. And then when Marcos decided to suspend the writ of habeas corpus, I don't know exactly when it was, we sought refuge in San Juan, the place of Estrada. Stayed there with one Muslim family, watching from there what the governor action would be, because I was in the blacklist. Then I sent somebody to my boarding house to find out whether there was anybody who would come and knock at the door and like that, because Marcos had decided to put on a draconian law or rule, so I think it could be very dangerous. They can just come and shoot you in the head like that. So I sent somebody. He said, I was informed by your landlady that there was a car, a wagon that came there, and they're bringing a message for you. So he returned back. And then he did not return anymore. I said, what happened? Maybe they caught up with him. There were three of us. So I said, I'd better go and find out myself. I don't mind, I don't care what's going to happen. So I went, and the my landlady told me, there's a message here. You have to return back and teach, because there was one professor who was arrested. My colleague in the institute, he was arrested. He used to teach at the Philippine Military Academy. He was a professor there, but he decided to transfer to our department. And then we became friends. I forgot his name. He was sending his children to school, and then suddenly they arrested him and put him in prison. I forgot his name, Professor something. Then when I went to the, to the classroom, the students stood up. Really, they stood up. Because they asked me to handle also his classes. You see? Stood up. Sir, what will happen if they will arrest you? I said, no, they cannot arrest me. If they want to arrest me, they must arrest me here. But they should not commit the mistake of arresting me in my boarding house, because my gun is cut every 24 hours of the day. They can take me only alive. I mean, they cannot take me alive. So please sit down. So I started teaching like that. And they did not bother me after that. So, continuous. But about a little over a week before the imposition of martial law, I don't know, suddenly I got the feel. I asked my the lady who became later on my wife. I said, accompany me. I asked her, I went to fetch her at the dormitory. I said, accompany me to the institute. I want to resign now. Okay. So she dressed up and then went. So I submitted. This time, Dr. Kuyugan, who had no very good contact with the people in the Nika, because the family of his wife were working with the Nika, maybe he already got some air about what was in the offing, and so he did not object anymore. Okay, approved. You go to the administration, still have some money, so you can use for your facilities in going back home. No, good sense. After about 8 or 9 days, Marcos declared. That was in September when I left the university for good. So he declared martial law, and everyone was scampering. But they saw to it that this vociferous opposition leader, Ninoy Aquino, would be taken into custody. So even before the declaration, already his residence had been encircled, was taken, put in prison. Well, I was able to wittingly to escape to Mindanao. Then started struggle, and before I knew it, everyone was already behind me.
Could you go into a little bit about how you generated support? How did you recruit? What inspired people to join you in the struggle?
Well, I think there was some kind of I don't know, it was like a mystery to me. It was mysterious. I immediately became the center, the hub of all of this resistance in Mindanao. Yeah. Young people from the university. I was very, very young, but I had, modesty, I had a very good reputation already as a young intellectual, because in those days there were very few students who could afford to stay in the university. The University of the Philippines was the most prestigious in the university, like that. And to think that I was there in the faculty, that I was pursuing my master's degree, and I was preparing to go to the United States of America for my PhD. Professor Germino, a visiting professor, had joined our faculty, Political Science Department, and he interviewed me for a scholarship, Rockefeller Foundation scholarship. Said you can choose a university in the United States of America, you pursue your PhD there. But I don't know. I told him, I don't feel like leaving our homeland. I want to return back to Mindanao. That was my feeling. So he said, well, what can we do? So that's what happened. I resigned, I went back, organized, and then created problem for Marcos. And I became, I think, the main cause of his political woes, became the main problem was the MNLF, because he was able to silence everyone, all the opposition that had left, everybody had left, went to America to seek refuge there. Manglapos, nobody, only MNLF stood its ground in Mindanao. And I was identified as the leader, the founding leader and chairman of the Central Committee of this. So Marcos had to reckon with me, you see? And that's why I mentioned about that attempt to meet in Manado at the eastern most part of Celebes Island. But it was botched up by the refusal of Marcos to meet me. And so I returned back. And so when at one time he sought another meeting with me somewhere in the Middle East, I not mention the name of the country anymore to avoid embarrassment, I refused to meet him. So more than 300 of them went. They brought all the royal families in Mindanao, you see. And he asked very powerful and influential leader in the Middle East to arrange for a meeting with me. I said, no, I cannot meet that man. The OIC Secretary General inquired for me, why? Why do you refuse? I said, no, I don't like to see that one day my children will come and my grandchildren will come to my grave and spit on my grave. So why? Why? I said, because that man had committed, had imposed miseries on my people, and he has betrayed me and betrayed everyone, and so I will not talk to him at all. You see? So nobody was happy with that decision. You see? But I said, no, I don't like my children and grandchildren to come to my grave one day and spit on my grave for committing that indiscretion of meeting that man who had imposed so much misery, not only in Mindanao but in the whole country. And so the arrangement for a meeting in the Middle East fell through. I refused.
Mr. Chairman, you raised a huge army that fought, a very intense war against the Philippine government, and it seemed like you raised it very quickly. It seemed to be well trained and well equipped. Can you just describe the challenges of raising the army, training them, equipping them, financing them, and how you overcame these challenges?
Well, fundamentally, our basic policy is one of self-reliance. We rely on what our people can produce from our own initiatives, largely. And of course, as Muslim, we always rely from the help of the Almighty God, Allah. Say, we are working for a just cause. God will not fail to help us. So, but by and large, we used to ask the people that as you eke out a living for yourself, don't forget to prepare for the wars. You should buy your own armaments, your own arms. This is self-help, self-reliance. But of course, in the beginning, although I'm not in a position to disclose the sources, but it is known to everyone that we had some small quantity of armaments from the outside world, good quality one, of European make. European make, the weapons.
As well as all the personal weapons of the...
That was all we got, with a considerable amount of, ammunitions and like that. And small quantity of anti-tank that came late. When I launched the counter-offensive, when we launched the massive counter-offensive against Marcos for the final destruction of colonialism in our homeland in February 1973, it was a long war. Day and night we fought for at least six months. For 6 months, which led millions and millions of bullets. And we occupied practically everything in Cotabato before it was fragmented. They were cooped up, helplessly cooped up. General Fortunato Abad was sent there by Marcos. He was having a haircut in Cebu. He was an officer there. Marcos called him up. Said, pack up. I sent an aircraft. You must go. Save the situation for us. Save the situation for us. Go quickly. I'll send you an aircraft. The aircraft arrived, and he arrived in Cotabato on the 6th of March, 1973. March. February 25th, I arrived there in Lebac to launch massive offensive against the government for the total destruction of Philippine colonialism. Because my thesis was, I said, if we can get rid of the last and final resistance in the SEMCOM, that will be the end of it. We can destroy and overthrow colonialism in our homeland. You will see in the book of this man, I'm going to try to come by a copy of that, a little small, slender book. It will not cost you that much. The title of this...
The Day We Almost Lost Mindanao, is that the Abat's book?
Maybe it's available in the shop. The title of which is The Day We Nearly Lost Mindanao. You will see some few nice words about me there by this man.
Yeah, I've read
But of course, it's a book written by somebody who was opposed to us. But so I'm not so sure how accurate most of the things there. But there are some things admitted from the title alone. You will see The Day We Nearly Lost Mindanao. So one of our young men told him, General, the chairman is not happy with the title of your book. He said, why? Why? He said, when I showed the book to him, the one that you sent, the copy, he said, no, this is not correct. He lost the war, but he was able to retrieve. You know, he already literally lost. There were only 9 of them inside the camp. Our mortar shells, you know, French-made mortar, accurate, very accurate, 81 mm, were raining with those. So they stay inside the toilet like that. There were only 9 left. They had prepared, according to my information, a certain Captain Kabugatan, the spokesperson of Abat, said there were only 9 of us left in the camp. All had this campered away for safety, for their lives. And we had already prepared a white flag to raise it.
Wow.
And I had already, as I said today, ordered for the arrest of Abat. And Abat knows that. Knows that. FBR knows that. Peter Ramos knows that. All the generals knew that they were on the verge of winning the war. See? But Malaysia, maybe from behind the scene, they connived. Because this General Abad, well, I don't know who, used to send strong messages to me, including one through Datuk Manung, who is a very influential man in the Philippine Congress. He's a Maguindanao leader. He belongs to the royal family there. He happens to be the nephew of Governor Andal. They sent words to me. You must move out from your camp, from your command post. Otherwise, we will pulverize your camp with international bomb, 500 pounds. They never were able to move me an inch from my camp. No. No, never. I said, okay. Do your worst. I'm ready. Yeah. I was having my camp. Until now, we still maintain that camp. I have over 100 young men protecting the camp, which I put up on the 25th of February 1973. 2 days later, the war started. They were the ones who started with the naval bombardment. So, we had good reason to fight back. And we fought back
So the
for
GRP actually
months
started
on
the
end.
hostilities?
Yeah.
Going way back, it was the government that initiated the hostilities?
They were the ones. You can ask them. They were the ones. Although they made some allegation that there was some kind of you know, some kind of a small fighting there in some places in near Lebak. But that was not enough. Not enough to justify a massive attack against our camp. You see, so we tried to reverse everything. And Marcos was sleepless. You will see in that book, small book. Really, it's a very good source of information. And so anyway, they managed to invite me out. They said there's a meeting here with leaders, Muslim leaders, and so many other things. So I was taken in by this, you know, I was convinced. I said I will go quickly and then return back. So after I reached Kuala Lumpur, the Malaysian government decided to prevent me from returning back. So, you know, could not push through. And then later on, when the commanding general of our offensive, a certain Datu Ali, a very brave cadre officer, he was codenamed Basak. Basak. When he returned back, I told him, because he accompanied me out, I said, clinch our victory, finish the whole thing. Don't tarry too long.
What did finish mean, Mr. Chairman? To you, what do you say?
Put an end to the misery of Abbott and company.
So all the troops out and
it is,
separate state?
yeah, we had several thousands of good quality warriors, fighters. You know, I said you should now work for the total victory of our offensive so we can kick them out from our homeland. It's okay. But when he returned back later on, he was assassinated. While I was told he was preparing to move into the city. City of Cotabato was already controlled by us. The SEMCOM is located right in the heart of the city, and we were able to encircle even SEMCOM. The only thing, one last thing that prevented us from completing our victory, our sweep, was the tank. We had no anti-tank weapon. Our anti-tank weapon was delayed somewhere. That was not delivered to us in time. You see, that was providential on their part. Had we got the anti-tank, we could have finished them up completely. So anyway, that's what happened. So I had to focus on my activities abroad because the Malaysians were no longer in a mood to cooperate with us, to allow us to free access to our homeland. So I went to the Middle East. And then later on, they managed to, you know, pass a resolution. I mentioned that the resolution in Kuala Lumpur, July 1974 resolution, I mentioned today. That was a very tragic incident to me. That's why I call it a fateful resolution, because while I had issued a manifesto, because the head of state, while I was overseeing the conduct of the war, they sent an emissary to me telling me to prepare, you know, to prepare some kind of a document answering the query of some head of state, because they asked me, Mr. Chairman, what do you have in mind when you organize the Moro National Liberation Front, the Bangsamoro Republic, and launch this struggle? What is your ultimate objective? That's why I mentioned today about, even in our peace talks recently, a few days ago, I mentioned openly, I told them that our objective was self-determination, decolonization, peace, justice, and freedom through the exercise of a right of self-determination, the decolonization and independence of our national homeland. Meaning, wanted to become independent ultimately, because I thought That is the only solution to any colonial rule.
Just 1 second, we're going to switch tape.